journey. Okay, whether it is you are just started or you are working with prototypes or you have already production in the workload in AWS in cloud computing, yeah, or everything is already run. You may type on your chat what is your answer. Okay, Pak Yusuf A, Pak Haidar A, anybody else? Oh, Pak Adi Shadi A. Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you. So I think that's everybody in OFA. We just getting started. Yeah, we just getting started. It's okay. So this is way how we can know each other. So I will have a more understanding how to deliver the class. Now, in this module, we will use the business request. So as a architect for cloud computing, before you give a solution to your clients, you need to know what they need. So sometimes we call this as the business request. Now, in this training, we will use the business request, the imaginary business request from an imaginary organization in order to understand the topic that will be delivered in this course. Yeah. Now, in this first module, we will have some business requests that will come in the next slide. Yeah. But anyway, we will discuss what is the AWS or Amazon Web Services, and how the infrastructure of AWS, and then how we will also discuss one of the important concept in AWS is what called as well-architect framework. At the end of this module, we hope that we can answer all the business requests that, and we will have the solution for that. Yeah, and then we will have also at the end of this module knowledge check. We will try to know how well you receive from this class. Yeah. Now we will actually in the real training we will have a lab, but since we don't use the Gilmore training module, so we don't have the lab, but we can discuss the lab. Yeah, and we can also do in the sandbox. Now here is the business request that's asked by the CTO. Yeah, the CTO asking what are the benefits of using AWS services. Of course, this is the most question you can expect when you ask somebody to move from on-premise to the cloud services. So what is the benefit? Why I should use AWS? Yeah, and then once they say, okay, we consider to move to AWS, but we would like to know how actually AWS manage their infrastructure, how actually the AWS global infrastructure organized. Yeah, of course, when you don't know anything and you already have a business that probably it's billion or trillion rupiah or dollars, you don't want to what you call is risk your business because you move to a new environment. You want to know first the environment that you want to move on. Yeah, even if you want to move to for instance one house or to other place, you would like to know first the environment. Yeah. Now, and then when we know that, how we can use the environment according to a best practice. Okay, so this is when actually it's coming here. That's when we use the well architect framework. Yeah. Okay. For the first submodule, we will try to understand what is the benefit of using AWS services. Now, before we go to this AWS services, yeah, probably we have to refresh ourselves what is the cloud computing. Yeah, so usually people use computer solution, whether for doing the computation or whether to store something, yeah, or whether to share something, yeah, to others, yeah. So the example that's probably we have the website, we want to share our modules, yeah. Now, people usually put their website on their web server, and this web server, in the beginning, it's on the physical servers. Now, people found this is not very efficient or costly, because when you have more clients, then you will need more or bigger physical. The other thing is because it's vulnerable. When there is something happens to your physical, whether that's because of the infrastructure problems or it is because of the what calls the hackers, for instance, then your system will be stopped. Yeah. Now, this then we know that after sometimes people know what we call as the virtual machine, where you put a virtual machine on your servers, and then you can increase or make a moving from one virtual surfaces, virtual machine to other virtual machines more easily compared to move from one physical to other physical. And when there is something happens, whether the infrastructure problems or the hacking problems, for instance, that it will not destroy all your work. I mean, all your things that you put in that physical. Yeah, you can still have. I mean, it's only localization. Now, in cloud computing, you don't have to have your physical. Yeah, if you want to have your laptop increase, or you want to have more space for your storage, if you want to have a server, even the whole server, then what you need is only to connect to the internet, and they will provide for you virtually. Okay, now this is the history of that. Then this is actually the core of the business of Amazon Web Services. The keyword here is the web, meaning that all the services can be like a storage, like a server and other things, yeah, will be connected through the web service, and it's belong to Amazon, where which is actually the parent company is the Amazon.com. Yeah. Now, Amazon Web Service has a global data centers that's that's offering more than 200 services. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, that there are, even I cannot know everything about the services, because sometimes every month they add new services. Yeah, the services can, the services can be storage, can be servers, can be database, and other things. Yeah, can be containers. Yeah. Now this actually put in the data center where the service actually handle or hold in the data center. These 200 services. And then what is important for the AWS that they want to secure your service that you use. Yeah. So security is become the most important things in AWS, and they also want to have a robust services. When you request the service, you can have in the minutes of, if not a second. Yeah. And then what is things that's the most things that's in the from the finance perspective is it's very low cost where you pay as you go. Yeah, it's different like the on-premise, for instance. If you need more, for instance, more storage, you have to buy a new hard disk. Yeah, and then you have to have a money in front to buy this hard disk before you can have that service, before you can have the storage. Yeah, now in AWS, and when you don't use the storage, for instance, then actually you still have to pay because you have to buy in the beginning. In AWS, you only pay what you use. That's called the pay as you go. And then on the top of these services, you can build your business need. Yeah. Now, this is the most reason. Once we know the reason why people move to cloud computing, why people move to AWS, this is the most reason why somebody need to move to AWS. First, the agility, meaning that it now, since you don't focus about your infrastructure anymore, then you are focused on your business, you are focused on your application, you are focused that how to use the services. Yeah, so it's make you cut the time of production. You can accelerate the time to the market. Then you don't, since you don't have to think about the infrastructure and other things that can be managed by AWS, you focus on innovation, how to improve your product. Yeah, and then the good things are that you don't have to guess your capacity, how much I need. Yeah, because you can just start, and then when it's needed, you can scale up, and even you can scale down again to save the cost. Yeah, and that's why with this cloud computing with AWS, you manage the complexity, and sometimes you also even can reduce the risk. Yeah, since you don't have to maintain your network, for instance, your infrastructure, that will be handled by the AWS, and all the risk will be handled by and security, for instance, that will be handled by AWS. It will optimize the cost, minimize the security vulnerabilities, and then manage the complexity. Yeah. Now, as I mentioned before, there are more than 200 services, but for this course, we will only, sorry, we will only concentrate on this module. Yeah. So we will talk about serverless. We will talk about networking, database, security, management and government, storage, AWS cost management, AWS compute, and AWS containers. Yeah. Okay. So this is what we will learn through these 3 days. This is all the services that we will discuss. Okay. Okay, that is the first submodule. Before we continue, anybody has a question? Is it clear? If clear, please give me emoji thumbs up, or you can write anything or clear. Pak Jumadi say clear, Pak Adi clear. Anybody's others? Pulung, thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Pak Reza. So next is the AWS infrastructure. So when we talk about the infrastructures, we will talk how actually the infrastructure build or the AWS build. So we will talk about the data centers, and we will try to understand what is the availability zones, yeah, regions, local zones, and edge location. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, that's AWS has data centers and region all over the world. Yeah. Now, how they manage this? Actually, all the services is all on the data centers. In each data centers, you have many cluster that actually, I mean, that servers that cluster together, and then inside in this data centers, yeah. And each location of this data center actually use AWS proprietary network equipment, meaning that all the connection is through the AWS own own devices, yeah, cabling, routing, everything. It's actually owned by the AWS. So you're not going to the ISP, for instance, it's not going out to internet provider that you don't know how they manage the devices. Yeah, so everything is using the AWS network equipment. Okay, and then a data center are organized into the what we call this availability zone. Yeah, what that we will discuss in the next slide. Yeah, so imagine that there are maybe 100 or 1,000 servers that's clustered together, and it's become the data centers. Okay, now in the availability zones, what does it mean? Availability zones. Availability zones, it's meaning that's the high availability services that you can have. Yeah. So example, that's your data centers, they can be that could be happens, for instance, the natural disasters, flood, yeah, or wars, for instance. Then it can disrupt or interrupt the services or the data center itself. Yeah. Now, in the concept of ability zone, that whenever that's one data centers interrupted, your services still, or AWS services is still there, is still available to be used. Yeah. Now that is called the availability zone. Yeah. Actually, in an availability zone, there will be consist of data centers, one or more data centers that actually in the close in term of the geography. Yeah. So data centers are clustering together. So in each data center, you have cluster of servers, and it's become data centers, where each data centers, it has their own network. They already also have their own cooling system. They have their own power system. Yeah. So it's independent, and therefore this data center also redundant each other. So that's how the availability zone actually designed for the fault isolation. Yeah. So imagine that this data center fail, for instance, then every service that handled by the servers inside this data center also still available in other data centers. Yeah. So this cause that we can achieve the high availability. Yeah? High availability meaning that whenever you need the server or service, you can have it. Yeah, you don't want, for example, you have your banking system. Yeah, if you only depend on one servers or one data centers, when data centers down, your service is not available anymore. You cannot access your mobile banking. But if your mobile banking is actually also available in other data center in the same availability zone, then even that's the data center is down, is your service still available to your customer. Yeah. Now, how they connect each other? It's using the high-speed private link. Yeah. So it's not going to the what we call the public internet. Now, this region also consists more than one availability zone. Yeah, each region has their own availability zone. Now, we already talked about the availability concept where actually it's increased the high availability, but on the top of that, AWS still increased the availability by also having the different availability. Yeah. So in each region, you can have more than one availability zone. Yeah. So it will increase again it's covered the fault tolerance. I think meaning that if anything happens in one availability zone, another availability zone is there where you can your service can still available to your customer. So each region independent each other, and all region use again AWS own network infrastructure. Yeah. Cool. So this is the concept of the region. This is how actually AWS can exist all over the world. Yeah. So where you can find all the region that's provide the AWS services. Yeah. And the new one is in Jakarta. Before we have to go to Singapore, but now we have on Jakarta. Yeah. Now the problem is not every countries has the similar rules. Yeah. So example, most country that produce a petroleum oil, yeah, like Indonesia, like Malaysia, like Saudi Arabia. In one rules, for instance, that's in Indonesia, you protect your information about your oils. Yeah, so you cannot bring out all the data, or the data should be live in that country. So when you go to, for instance, to cloud computing, it's available to all over the world. So now we have to follow the local rules. Yeah. So when you choose the region for each services, you have to first to know you have to understand the governance, including the local laws. Yeah, whether it is allowable or not. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You should avoid, for instance, that uses some services that's not allowed in that country's example. Yeah. Now that is the things that you have to consider. The other thing is the latency. Yeah. The latency means that if you are close to some region, the service that you can have is more has a better experience. Your customer can have a better experience because you're close to the region. The closer to the region, for instance, that if you just example, your client accessing your website. Yeah, if your website is actually put in the whether S3 in certain region, it will goes first to that region and then it will respond. Now the closest to you to the region, yeah, the better latency that you can have. Yeah, so you have to consider the latency. Okay. Now the other things that every region has their own cost. Yeah, the same service I use, for instance, EC2 can be different between EC2 that I install in region Jakarta or that I install in the region, for instance, in US East 1, for instance, US East 2, or yeah, in the West, US West, yeah, or Singapore, for instance. Then before you choose the service, you have to know also the cost that's dedicated for that region. Yeah. Now, and then another thing is not the service availability. Not every region has the same service that available to be used. Yeah. So I give example. Yeah. For the billing, it's only available in the North Virginia. Yeah, in North Virginia. So when you want to update the cost billing, for instance, it's only available in the North Virginia. Yeah, it's not available for region Jakarta. It's not available in other region. It's only in the world that that have the service that's in the North Virginia. Yeah. So these things that you have to consider before you you use your or your service that you want to have. Okay, local zones. The local zones is available to you when when you need, for instance, that's your application required a single-digit millisecond latency. Now, example, before we have Jakarta region, the closest region that we have is Singapore. Yeah. Now I have, for instance, yeah, example that application that's, yeah, the multimedia or entertainment application that if the lack of 1 second, even 1 second, the experience of your customer will be go down. Yeah, you will not be happy. Yeah, you don't want to even to wait 1 second. Yeah, that's yeah, the movie become not smooth. Yeah, or gaming. Yeah, that's make yeah, low user experience. Now, when you need that, for instance, that, and there is no region at that time, you can use, or yeah, you in clear close to you, then you can use the AWS local zones. Yeah, so meaning that the AWS infrastructure actually come to you. Yeah, they put in your on premise, but that's will be managed by AWS. So in this case, you can get a better latency. Yeah. The same that's if you want to use the machine learning, live streaming, yeah, anything that's, yeah, it's required a single-digit milliseconds latency, then you can use the local zone. And then the edge location is connected to the CDN, or what you call is the network delivery, yeah, content delivery distribution, yeah. So for instance, that's yeah, like the example like Netflix, YouTube, yeah. This is the application that need a service that's yeah, that's depend on the on the location, yeah, meaning that's the closest you to the location, the better you can, the less latency that you have, yeah. Now local, for instance, that's if you think that's yeah, you can do it but for yourself, yeah, for your need, yeah. Now if, for instance, that's your client is global, all over the world, yeah, and then you have to streaming, yeah. Now the edge location giving the to the what do you call this clients or customer to the nearest point, yeah, to the nearest point where the AWS service available, or the content itself available, yeah. Now you can see this is an example what you can use. One of the use case that it can explain this concept is, for instance, that you have your service available or distribute from Japan, yeah. So from Japan, this is your, actually this customer actually should go to this movie where actually it's actually stored in the Amazon S3 in, yeah, for instance, this is the South America, yeah. Now from Japan to here to South America, for of course it will cause the latency because of the geography distance, yeah. Now when you use the CDN, content networks distribution network, then whenever a customer access this, yeah, and then it responds by the service here, yeah, then it will save the content into the edge location, okay. Now when other customer access, for instance, from yeah, from Korea example here, yeah, from Korea, this customer do not have to go to the original here, yeah, but it will access the closest one, the closest edge location where actually the cache of the content is saved in the edge location. So it's become better experience, user experience when you have a closest location, yeah. That's called the edge location. This is how we can use the edge location. To be compared, the local zones reduce the latency. Then you can process locally your data locally, and then it's make a AWS service experience consistent. Yeah, while the edge location will catch the data that's distributed to the content delivery network. Yeah? And then because of that, it become fast delivery of the content, because you don't have to go to the original, because you only access the nearest edge location. So it will give a better user experience. Okay. Okay, one more down. Yeah. So everything is okay. Everything is okay. Give me thumb ups if good. Is it clear? Okay. Pak Haidai clear. Ibu Gil, Pak Adi okay. Pak Jumadi okay. Pak Fuluk okay. Okay. Now, in order to use the services in a better way and using the best practice, then AWS provide what we call AWS well-architected framework. Yeah. So as a architect, you need to plan. Yeah. According again, that's the business request, the requirement from your client. Yeah. And then you need to analyze. You need to do the research. Yeah. So to investigate which service. Probably there are two services that two type service that probably can solve the problem, but which one that's better? Yeah. And then you design the transfer maps. Yeah. How to go to that the implementation of your service in a better way. Yeah. How to migrate, for instance, that's to do that. Migrate your data and then use the AWS services. So this is how the architect responsible. Now, in well architect, actually, this is there are 6 pillars that you always need to consider. Yeah, and you always have to cover. Yeah, that is first the security. Yeah, so when you use a service, you always see the security. Yeah, whether how to protect the your data, for instance, in that service that you use. Yeah, and then of course you want to have better performance. Yeah, how to reduce the latency. Yeah, how to manage the operational. You want to you don't want to have a headache, for instance, to manage that. Yeah, so you have to consider operational excellence. And of course, another thing that's very important is the cost optimization. Yeah, you can you don't have to pay a lot of money if you can have a cheaper one and still it's perform according to you. Yeah, so you have to think about the cost optimization. Yeah, and then reliability when a service down. Yeah, how it's recover, how quickly it's recover, how you're not losing the data, for instance, and also that's what is important also. Then the reliability is the sustainability. Yeah, so what is the impact when you use the services? Yeah, the impact to your to business, the impact to the managing the complexity, for instance. Yeah. Now, this concept actually already have a tools. AWS provide tools, so-called the AWS Architect tools, where actually it's built on the based on the AWS Well Architect framework concept. Yeah, and then you can use that tools to check whether your design is or your solution is according to the best practice of AWS. Yeah, you can differ on that solution if you have a good reason on that, but AWS always giving the best practice, yeah, from other customer, from the experience of AWS itself. Yeah, so you can use this by using the well architect tools. Yeah, so you can review your application. Yeah, so and again using the best practice, and then yeah, that also using by main and then review by many. Okay, so this is we come to the end of this module. Yeah, so hopefully in this module uh, you understand the services, AWS services. Yeah, and then how actually the infrastructure actually organized, and then the tools that you can use in the yeah, in doing the architecting. Yeah, you can use the well architected tools. Yeah. Okay, before we go for the knowledge checks, I just want to uh, show you how actually easy you can use the AWS services by having the so in order to get the service from AWS, you have to register yourself. Yeah. So here where you can log in or sign in if you have. Yeah. You can in the first time you will use your root user. Yeah. And then after that, you can, when you have your account, you can create a user. Yeah. Every account can have maximum 5,000 account that you can create as a user. Yeah. Now, how we can do that? We can, if you don't have any account yet, you can create a new account. Yeah, where actually you have to put your email. Yeah, email address, and then you can have your account. Yeah, nickname. Yeah, and then you can sign to the or if you already have, you can sign. Yeah. Now, yeah, you can go this and then you can create. Yeah. Now, what I can show you that I already have one. Okay, you have to, once you already create account, you have to also have your password. Okay, on the top of that, you can add your another layer of security that you give a MFA code. Yeah. Now you can use many tools, but I use the what you call the this Amazon. I cannot show you this. Okay, it's too close. Uh, Authenticator. Yeah. So I have to put the number that's come to my mobile phone. Okay. I have to put again my MFA. Okay, this is things that you can see, the dashboard that you can have is we come to the console home. You can go to here. This is the home. Yeah. You can also check the services. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If you know that you can have uh, these services. Yeah. But if 200, I don't think that you can remember everything. What you can do, you can use the search, for instance, that anything that you like to, for instance, that's EC2, then you can get the service, and then you can put the favorite. When it's favorite, then it will appear here. So that is in order to create that, you need the what you call credit card. Before I create this using the debit card, but now it seems it cannot anymore. Yeah, I don't know why, but I create another account. It's always fail if, when I use the debit card. Okay. Okay, before we end this, let's do the knowledge check. So, which item is the best example of responsibility of an architect? So, what is your responsible? Fauzan, do you think it's A? Is it the monitor alarm for disaster? I think this is for somebody that's already, yeah. Okay, D. Ibu Ayu bawa the D, Pak Yusuf C. Let's check one by one. Monitor alarm for disaster. I think this is for somebody that respond for the operational. Yeah, the operational people. Yeah. Maintain application level code. This is for developer. Manage access to the group of account. This is actually responsible for the for the administrator. Yeah, administrator will create the account. Yeah, allowing the rule for each account. So C is more for the administrator. Analyze solution for business need and requirement. Yes, this is the closest one. Yeah, as an architect, you need to hear, listen very carefully, consider the requests, and then do the research, finding the better one, yeah, and then build the solution. Yeah, so that is the responsible of the architect. The second one, which item is a cluster data center within a geographic location with low latency? Pak Haidar, C. Any others? Pak Habib, C also. Pak Yusuf, A. Pak Rian, C. C. Okay, let's check. Yeah. Which item is cluster data center? So again, that's remember that in the data center, actually in the availability zone, what we have here in the availability zone, yeah. So, oops, actually the answer there. So in the availability zone, actually inside the availability zone, you have a cluster of data center. Okay, and each region in each region, you have more than one availability zone. Yeah. So this is AZ. This is region. Yeah. So each location actually where you can catch the content. Yeah. Outpost is not we will discuss in other module. Okay. Okay. The next question, which factor must be considered when you picking the AWS region? So remember that we have 4 things that we have to consider before we choose which region. Yeah. Because it will be effect to us. Yeah. So what is what that's 4. Yeah. Can you select A and C? So this is the most important thing, local data regulation. Yeah, sometimes you have the so-called data sovereignty law, yeah, which is you cannot bring the data outside the countries. Yeah, so things like that you have to consider. Operating system, no, we don't have to consider because this is responsibility of AWS. Yeah. Latency and the end user, yes, this is what you have to think. Yeah, the closest you to the region, the lower latency you will have, and it's better user experience to your customer. Yeah. Support the hybrid network. No, every region, yeah, will use AWS own proprietary network. Yeah, so it's wrong. Programming language of the application is depend on the developers. Yeah. Okay. Next question. What is the prime benefit of deploying application into multiple availability zone? Why we want to have availability zone? Remember that the meaning of availability zone that we want to have the high availability of your application. So what does it mean? Stronger security policies? No, it's nothing to do with the security. It's decreased the latency. What do you think? No, this is depend on the region or each location that you use. So it's not the availability zone. Yes, this is what it's meant. It is want to have the high availability resource. Yeah. Of course, there will be benefit of the design. The better we design we have, the better experience we will have. Yeah. Okay, I think this is the last questions about the AWS well architect frameworks pillars contain the principle of least privilege. What does it mean? Yes, the security is the most important things that one of the best practice that you have to understand from the beginning is the least privilege, meaning that you only give what the user need. Yeah, don't give everything, don't give what they don't need. Yeah, so that is what we found in the well architect framework. Okay, again, this lab we will talk about the this how to connect to the AWS services. Yeah, I always show you that we can use the management console, but you also can do the using the CLI and also the SDK. Yeah, and it will give the API where actually then you can access the service. So this is what we do in the lab. We will explore the management console, create S3 bucket through the management console, and then we will upload an object to the S3 through the S3 console, and then we also upload using the CLI. Okay, that is module 1. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, good. If no, then we will have a 10-minute break, and then uh, we will come back with the module 2. Okay, see you in 10 minutes. Module 2 will be in 60 minutes. Yeah, so I will start from, let me check first before we start the counting. Can you see my slide?
Yes, Pak. Okay, I start from now. Okay, welcome to module 2 of architecting on AWS account security. So before we start, please answer these poll questions. Whether you have account, how many account that you have? Is it 1, 2, or 10, or more than 10, or you don't know? Habib? Anyone? Okay, here. Okay, Pak Habib use more than 10. Okay, good. Pak Yusuf don't know. Okay, so, okay, let's okay. We will discuss this during our course module today. Okay, as usual, we will use the business request also for this module. Yeah, for this module, in order to explain our topic here. Yeah. So in this module, we will talk about the principle and identities, security, management of multiple account, and then we do the review as before, and then we do the knowledge check. So in this module,
we will use the security specialist business request to question what are the best practice to manage access. Yeah. So here in this module, we will discuss the only service that's relate to the access to your account, which is we call as the identity and access management. We call it as AWS IAM. Identity and access management. How can we give user access to the only resource that we need? We will talk what we call this call the policy. Yeah, we will talk about the policy, and here also we'll talk about the different type of the IAM. We can have the IAM users, IAM roles, and we will also talk about the resource based security. Yeah, and then in AWS there are services that actually can handle the multiple account here that we will discuss also in this module. Now let's start with the principles and identities. Okay. So I already give you a demonstration how to get into the AWS console. Yeah. When the first time you create an account, you will need use your email address, and you will get the root user. Yeah, you will get the root user. This root user has the full access to all AWS services, all access and all privileges. That's including to, for instance, to delete and including to delete the account. Yeah. And then the root account is the only account that cannot be restricted even by AWS itself. Yeah. And then therefore it is not best practice if you want to use this as a daily day-to-day interaction with your AWS. It's too risky. Yeah. So so in order to create again, you need your you have to supply your email address, yeah, and then also your debit card or credit card in order to get the AWS account. Now, the service that we can use to manage the identity and access, we call it as AWS Access Management, or nickname is IAM. Yeah, here this is the service where you can create users, you can create a group, you can create roles. Yeah, and then you can also manage to give which service or which resource that can be used by those user or groups or roles. Yeah, and then you can also do the analysis. Yeah, and doing the analysis access control. Yeah, what is important in the IAM is actually you manage two things. Yeah, first you manage the authentication that's divided to the group where whether somebody can or things that can access your AWS. Yeah, whether you can go to the AWS environment or not. Yeah. So it will the first thing that's you do the authentication. Yeah. So this authentication need a credential. Yeah. In our case, you have to supply your username. If you are a root user, then you need you have your email address, and then your again your password, and then probably on the top of that you need to supply also the MFA code. Yeah. And for others, for the user that you create, they need their usernames. Yeah. So only with this, then they can sign into AWS. Now, once somebody or something that's go inside your AWS environment, then you need to decide the authorization. Yeah. Whether that's they can do something. Yeah. It is about the permission or do something. Yeah. Now the analogy like your house. Yeah. You authenticate who can come to go inside your house. Yeah. Somebody that who has the key, maybe your wife, your son, your daughter, your parents, example, they have the key. They can go to go inside your house. But everybody has different permission. Yeah. Example, that somebody that's everybody has their own rooms. Yeah. Their own rooms. Yeah. So then, for instance, that's my son's only permissible to go inside his own room, not to my daughter room, example. Yeah, it's not allowed without permission of the my daughter, example. Yeah, so you need the authorization where you deal with the permission. Yeah, now they can come to my room, for instance, in certain condition. Yeah, I put in the permission also, but in as a part of the condition. Example, when they come in the very early morning or in the afternoon or the evening, example, before they come, they have to knock the door. Yeah, they cannot just come to my room and then pass the just coming like that. They have to knock the door. Yeah, so that is the condition example. Yeah, so that's we put in the rule what we call as the permission. Yeah, so we make a policy on that. Yeah. Now, another example, somebody without key, but example, your guest, yeah, Pak Yusuf coming to my house and then coming to my house without any key, yeah. But he, for instance, that he ring the bell, yeah, and then I open the door and said, okay, please come in. So he's allowed without any key, without credential. Yeah, but as a guest, you only can sit in the guest room. You cannot go to my kitchen. You cannot go to my bedroom. You cannot go unless I give another permission. Yeah. Now we will discuss all this analogy in different services in this module of AWS identity and access management. So in short, what you need to know that in AWS you have the authentication and then you have the permission. All of these you can set in the service called IAM, in the identity access management. Now, the first things there you have to know that the principle is an entity. It can be a user, human, yeah. It can be a role. It can be AWS another services, yeah. So example that's your uh, yeah your servers, yeah, or your servers can write down, for instance, in your database. Yeah, so it's different service, but it will also need the it's considered as also a and principles. Yeah, and of course is another user outside the AWS that, for instance, that if you have Microsoft credential, for instance, or the like yeah, direct access, yeah, and also, for instance, that you have the Google account example, you use the Facebook account, then you can consider the as other federated user. All of these are the principles that actually anybody or entities that can request an action or operation on the AWS resource or services. Yeah, so that is called the principles. Yeah. Now let's check one by one. The first one, of course, the users. Yeah. Then again, that's in the beginning when you create, you have a root. Yeah, that is the root user that can do anything. Then from that you can create. Since this is not a good way how to do or the secure way to do to deal with the AWS, you can create the user. And the user can be the one that's, for instance, doing the administration. Yeah, meaning that's the one that can create the resource. They can create the S3 buckets. They can create the AC2 instance, or they can do something in your permission example. Yeah, or developers that can only access the server where they can do running, for instance, the application, building the application, doing the debugging. Yeah, so the developer, for instance, doesn't need, for instance, to create his own AC instance. Of course, you can give the permission on to do that. Yeah, but also that's, for instance, that's auditor. They can check, they can read, yeah, they can read, but they cannot do anything. Yeah, they can check, for instance, that the application made by the developer, yeah, the developer put the website, for instance, in the AWS bucket. Yeah, they can check what they did, but they only read, they cannot change anything. So things like that, that you can have user that's they can have the and you can design the policy the same like you design the policy at home example. Yeah, so again, you decided the credential authorization, authentication, and then what is their username, their password, and they can change the password. Then also the authorization, what service that you can access. Yeah, so all of this we call this as the IAM users, meaning that you create the user from these IAM services. Okay. Now, there are three ways how you can access or deal with AWS. First, I already show you that we access through the console. Yeah, in order to get to the console, you have to log in to your console, AWS console. Yeah, then from that you can have the services. Now, other things that you can do, for instance, that's if you're developers, you want to access EC2 from your programming, yeah, from your IDE, yeah, from your application example. So you don't have to go to the console, yeah, which is you need to do the programmatic access, yeah. Then you can use the AWS command line interface or CLI, yeah. The other things that you can do the same is
but this is dedicated for the developer is what we call as the AWS SDK. Yeah, this is for the developers kits. Yeah, where you can also access the services through the what we call this API. Now, I already show you how to get to the to the console, and here how you can do the programmatic access. What you need the what we call the access key, and the second one the secret key. Yeah. So when you want to access any services, whether through the CLI or through the SDK, you have to provide these two. You combine these two, then it's become your credentials in order to access your to fulfill the authorization in the service that you want to access. Okay. Now, here, after we decided who can access, who cannot, yeah, with the credential, whether to the AWS console or the CLI or SDK, yeah, with the secret key, yeah, and the combination of the secret key, yeah, and also this access key, yeah. Then we have also to decided the permission, yeah. Once they come, then what they can do, yeah. Again, that's you can give the policy, you can create your own policy who can access, for instance, this example is the Amazon S3, yeah. Now, if you are an administrator, you can access everything. You can create, you can delete, you can alter, yeah. Yeah, you can do everything. Yeah, so that's called the Amazon S3 full access. Yeah. Now, if you're auditor, you only give the auditor capability to only read. You not allow them to delete or change anything on the S3 bucket. Yeah. So it's Amazon EC2. You can check the EC2. You can also read the S3 access. This is for the auditor. This is called the policy. It's kind of rules that you can have to in order to decide who can do or who can access your resource. Yeah, we call it as the policy. Now you can create your own policy, but you have to maintain that policy. If something changes in your policy, then you have to update your policy. But AWS already provide for you the built-in policy. Yeah. So example here, this is the built-in. All of these are the AWS policy that you can choose. Yeah. Now, you may want also to grouping your user. Yeah. So for instance, that you can group your user that can do certain things. Yeah. Sometimes it's based on the role, sometimes based on the organization. Yeah. For instance, that you can group people of the same department. Yeah. Or the same role. Yeah. The role, for instance, that's role as an admin. Yeah. So and then
the group that can do the analysis, which is the analyst, yeah, the one that can know the billing, yeah. Now you can group this, the user groups. What is the benefit of putting the user into a group? Then when you define a policy to a group, everybody that's inside the group will have the same policy. Yeah. So when I decided Zhang and Maria in the group admin, I make the policy for the admin group, and automatically Zhang and Maria will have or inherit the policy from the groups. So imagine that if not two, for instance, 100 or 1,000 user, yeah, in your organization, it is very difficult to do one by one. Then you can use the group. Yeah. And if you are not part of the group, then you cannot have that permission. The other way around, for instance, that Richard is belong to billing, where he can see, for instance, that the new billing, yeah, he can check who actually using more services in AWS, yeah, but also Richard also part of the analyst group. Then, for instance, that's Richard can use the data from the billing example to do, for instance, to give the insight, yeah, to give the chart, for instance, to make a chart analysis, yeah, and then provide a charge to the organization, yeah. So when Richard can be considered as the part of the billing, where all the policy in the billing apply to Richard, but Richard also will receive the policy from the analyst, yeah. Whatever that's low for the Richard, both from analyst and billing, Richard will inherit, yeah. But Anna, for instance, can do the analysis, can make the inside analysis, yeah, but cannot, for instance, read the billing, the monthly billing example, because she's not part of the billing group. That is group. Now, the other things that's probably different or similar to groups, but based on the role, yeah. So the role example, this role like this, okay. So I'll give another analogy example. Your kitchen is broken. Yeah, who actually using the kitchen? Mostly my wife, for example. Mostly my wife. Yeah, but I sometimes use this also, and my kids also doing sometimes doing this thing. Yeah, so when it's broken, then I call the technician. Yeah, technician coming. Okay, I allow you to coming. I open the door, you coming, and then I allow you to come to the kitchen also. Now, when we are in the kitchen, we do the cooking example. Yeah, doing the I turn on the gas, I turn off the gas example. Yeah, now the gas not coming. Yeah. Okay, at that time, the technician need a permission to fix the gas. Yeah, so he's not part of in the gas example. The gas, in order to turn on the gas or turn off the gas, there is, for instance, what do you call a keyword. Yeah, you have to put the pin example. Yeah, to put the pin. Yeah, now you cannot give the pin to the technician, because then technician will know that. Yeah, so rather than you do the pin, and then the technician become the one that actually can check everything that's needed in order to fix that things. Yeah. So this is some example. Yeah, that's the analogy. The example that's the auditor. Yeah. So once, for instance, the BPK coming to us to check, for instance, the the to check the accountants for coming to our offer, what do you call offer office, to check our finance, example balance. Now then you have to allow them without giving the what you call is the anything that's secret, like the access to that, but we can allow the auditor to read some things, to make a comment on that, but without giving the credential. That's called the rules. So here Anna is analyst, then Anna is giving the rules, assume the rules as the developers. So Anna can run, for instance, execute the code. Because Anna assume as developers, and the system thinks that Anna is developers. Only for the certain of times. So here is what is a function of the rules, that user can assume the rules without having the credential. So Anna don't have to you or Richard or somebody else in the developer not supposed to give the credential. For instance, use this my account, log into my account. No, you don't want to do that. But rather to do that, you ask them to assume the roles. And then this permission will only valid for the sometimes. Okay, now how we can do that? Again, for instance, Anna as the analyst asking for the assume the roles. And here the one that's in the developers, for instance, this Farhan, give allow Anna to assume the rules, and then AWS with the AWS STS, or what call this token security token services, will give a temporary credential. And then we'll give here we'll send to the one that's asking request for instance, here is Anna, and with this credential, Anna can access the resource that belong to the to here Farhan, which is can access the S3 bucket, also the EC2. Now this only for the certain time. After that, it will be expired. You only can access again when you request another, and must be approved by the one that will be share the resource. Okay, that's called the rules. And this is the way how you do this. We call as the assume the rules. Now, here actually we create rules using the IAM policy. Yeah. We can create the IAM and then we can give the policy on that. What can be accessed, what can be, what not or not allowed, or we are not giving we are not granted any access example. Yeah, you can give this policy to the IAM users that you create. You can give this policy also to the group. Remember, when you give to the groups, all the members of the group will have the same policy. Yeah, and then the IAM user from different groups or different role can assume the rules, and then when you assume the rules, then a policy will be assigned to that rules. Yeah, for that role, specific rules that you can give permission. Yeah. So, for instance, that for the developer, you can create, you can delete, you can read. Yeah. Now, for the one that you apply to the IAM rules that you allow them to be assumed, for instance, it's only for the read. Yeah. Now you can assign that policy to the IAM rules. Yeah. Okay, this is the same happens when another AWS services also want to access yeah, example, another resource. Yeah, the resource, this resource can also assume a roles. Yeah, assume a roles that in order to have the least permission to access another resource. Okay, until now, is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Anybody? Okay, Ibu clear. Yeah. Pak Adi also clear. Yeah. Now, before we move, I give this again. That's now I'm as a user. Okay, I can create a. I'm a now as a root user. Yeah. Now I can go to the IAM policy here. Then I can create a users. Yeah. Now I already have the users. Yeah, I already create a user called the admin. Yeah, called the admin. So this admin, okay. Now I don't have the access key. So meaning that in order to using this admin key, admin users, in order to do the programmatic access, then I have to create the access key. Yeah. Now you can see this. I create this admin, and then I give the permission or policy that what we, this admin can do. You see that I use the administrator access, which is the built-in policy, permission policies that I can choose from the AWS. Yeah. Now what I can do. So here there is a policy here. What there is a called effect, action, and resource. Yeah. Now here it's say allow. So for the effect, there is two options, whether to allow, to deny.
meaning do not allow them. Action, when you have star, it's like I think that's if you are doing the programming or doing the CMD in Windows, meaning if everything. So I can allow to do action, any action, yeah. Resource, I can access any resource using this credential. Okay, so let's check whether it's no. There is this admin not part of any groups. Yeah. So this is the credential. Yeah, I can create I can change the credential here. Okay, so this is the user, and if I want to create once more, then I just create user. I give a name, for instance, developers. Then I can set the, okay, I already specify, okay. Then whether I would like to add user to a group, yeah, or I can copy the permission, or I want to attach from the available built-in policy here. Yeah, so I can search, for instance, that okay, find developers. Okay, you can choose, for instance, AWS Code Build Developer Access, yeah, or Cognito Developer Access, or AWS Proton Developers. And when you want to see what is actually inside, what is the role that will be given, you can check this, and you can see the JSON here, what is allowed, and what action can you do, and then you can have your own resource. Yeah. Now, if you don't happy with this, you want to have your own policy, then you can create your policy here. You can specify the policy. Okay. Now, again, you can specify for the what service that you want to give, yeah, or you just want to, yeah, to give the the service, yeah. Now you can create this using visual like this, or you can do, if you like to use the JSON, you can use this JSON. Yeah. So there is a version statement here. This thing we will see in the next couple slides. Okay. Now this is how you actually can okay. If you want to create a users. Yeah, in this case, I cancel because I'm happy only using the my admin now. Yeah, so admin, like you are a root, but it has a limited. For instance, you cannot delete the account. Yeah, you cannot delete my own account here. Yeah, so with root, I can even delete my own. Yeah, so this is how you actually use the policy. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Now let's go deeper to the policy. Yeah. So the policy, actually there are two: whether you give, you grant, you allow, or you not allow, meaning it's denied. Yeah, you not allow, meaning it's denied, or you give permission, but you set the maximum permission. Yeah, and again the analogy, for instance, okay, your kid, uh, you get permission, for instance, to cook. Yeah, to cook, but you only cook simple things. Yeah, your kid can do the simple things. Yeah, so for instance, that put the flour, put the water. Yeah, but not put, for instance, to the fryer. Yeah, not put the fryer. Yeah, so sometimes you need to allow, but also giving the set the maximum permission. Yeah, so that is the two types in the policy categories in AWS. Yeah, so we will see first the grant permission, and then after that we will see the maximum maximum permission. Now in the grant permission, we have two type of permission. One or policy, yeah. One is the identity-based policy, meaning that's based on who are actually will get, will do something, yeah, will do the, to access the or operate the services. So the identity, IAM identity can be, for instance, that the users, yeah, or the group, or the role. Yeah. So these are based on the identity, meaning that you have to give your identity. Yeah. So when you come, to the to the uh, to the environment, you have to log in. Yeah. So that is based on your identity. Yeah. Based on your identity. Now the second one is based on the resource. Yeah. After you give permission, somebody decided you can access this, but you can also set from the side of your resource. Yeah, so the resource will also have a policy who can access it, who can do on these services. Yeah, so the analogy is like you have these two permission here. Example, in order to access this room, first you need to have a key. Without a key, you cannot access the the door. Yeah, and you can access the room of eventually. Yeah, but even you have the key, the owner of this room also put the what you call this pin. Yeah, only who has the one that this actor or the user has the key, which is it will be unlock this key, but also he should know also the pin here. Without that, it cannot be. So key is the from the perspective of user. Yeah, you can use the key, you can get the key because you are, for instance, when you come to the hotel, yeah, they will check your what do you call this booking, yeah, and then they will check your passport, or they check your ID card, yeah, then they will give you a key. Yeah, but inside that key also you have to know the pin of that resource. Yeah, so this is the two perspective that you can set in AWS, where whether you can give permission based on the
based on the what you call this, based on the identity, or but also based on the resource, or we can combine both of them. Okay, so the resource policy is assigned to the resource, and then this is the assigned to the IM users. Now, this is the type of identity-based policy that I already give you example or a demonstration. Yeah, so it based on the service example that you can access full service to EC2. You can only read only the EC2 or S3. This is based on the service, or based on the job function that I already give you example, administrators. Yeah, so I can access the admin. I have the policy called the administrator access. Both these two actually managed by AWS. Yeah, you don't have to worry about if there is a changing or whatever. It will or there is another service actually coming to the AWS. Yeah, then you don't have to change or manage the policy. Yeah, it's managed by AWS. Now, I also show you that you can create your own policy. Yeah, where you can create make your own rules here, and then it's managed by you. Yeah. So when there is a changing in your policy, then you have to change your this custom policy also. Yeah. Now I will show you that there are things that important in when you create the policy, and when you read the policy also, there is a version. Yeah. But the most important, that's this 4. Yeah. So the effect, whether it will be allowed or denied. Yeah. Then action is on the what service can do. Yeah. For instance, that's in this action. Yeah. This action is the action on the start the instance, stop the instance. Yeah. So in this case, you are allowed to start the instance, you are allowed to stop the instance. When I change this to denied, then the one that has this policy on it, then we cannot, it will not able to start the instance, cannot stop the instance. Yeah. Or you can have the instance, yeah, and then which instance that you can do. There is a specific what we call is AWS resource number. Yeah. So every resource or every service that you create or have been created will have a specific ARN, yeah, or AWS resource number. So it's very unique. Yeah. Now even you have 1,000 EC2, every EC2 it will have its own RN. So it will not mistakenly, for instance, stop the instance. Yeah. When you define, for instance, which resource. Yeah. So in this case, for instance, it gives the star, meaning all EC2 can be start and stop by the one that has this policy. And then you can also have the condition, yeah, that the one that's actually can stop and start the instance when actually owned by the owner. Yeah, meaning that's the one that's who create the EC2, yeah, with the username and password. Yeah, so this is actually yeah, the optional condition. You can put this, but it is important to define the effect, action, and resource. Now here example is allow. Yeah. So in this action, it's allow to list the bucket. So you can meaning to read and then to list down all the object inside the S3. S3 get object meaning you can take or you can download that object. Yeah. Then this is the name of the resource. Yeah. So the bucket and also anything that inside the bucket. For instance, a folder that has the another object inside the folders. Then you can do here. So here is the denied. Yeah. So meaning here, if you find this, the one that has this policy cannot access the EC2 and S3. Yeah, all the resource, any EC2, any S3 cannot cannot do anything. Yeah. Now, here called the explicitly allow or explicitly denies, meaning that it is very explicit whether it's allow or deny. Yeah. So this is called the explicit deny or explicit allow. When you write down or you define that, that's called the explicit. Now, how it can be evaluated? Yeah. Sometimes you have deny and allow coming together. So how actually AWS decided? Yeah. So when you have any policy to be accessed, yeah, to be evaluated, yeah, first the AWS will first check whether there is a explicit deny. When there is an explicit deny, then it's denied, meaning that stop. Okay, you cannot go further. Yeah. Now, when there is no deny, it will check then whether there is a explicit allowed. When there is, then meaning that it's allowed to do any action according to the action according to that policy. Now, if there is no explicit denied, yeah, but then it will check whether there is if there is no allow, yeah, then it will not allow, meaning that's implicitly denied. So example like this. Okay. Example, explicit denied, for instance, that the only one who can come to my house is AWS coach. Yeah. So when Pak Yusuf that coming, is there any denied? Okay. For instance, Pak Yusuf cannot come to my house. I will check first. Okay. If there is no, meaning I will check allow. Is Pak Yusuf coach? Is Pak Yusuf coach of OFA? If yes, then he allowed to come in. Yeah. But somebody, for instance, from OFA also, yeah, for instance, Ibu Eli, our project manager, is there any specific policy that said Ibu Eli cannot come in? If not, then okay, I will check another thing. Is Ibu Eli a coach? No, Ibu Eli is not a coach. So it will be denied because implicitly denied. Implicitly because it not mentioned Ibu Eli,
but Ibu Eli is not a coach. So it's implicitly denied by the rules. Okay. Now this is example of the resource policy. Yeah. So the resource, we make a policy on the specific resource. Yeah. So in the specific resource, we can have, for instance, this service ID, yeah, called the account be access, yeah. Effect allow, who can access this? That the principal only AWS with this username, yeah. What these guys can do is can put the object, can write on the this bucket. So which bucket? This RN, yeah. Which bucket is this RN on this folder? Okay, so this called the resource base. The first one we call the user IAM user base. Yeah, this is or identity base. Yeah, so this is a user base. Now, this combination will be used in order to protect your services. Yeah, so it will check based on the identity base. Yeah, whether you use the role. Yeah, if you are okay, then it will will be checked again based on the resource base. Yeah, only that's if you have the combination of these two, then you can have this access the specific resource. Now here this two, the coming in the set permission, yeah, it's called the IAM permission boundary. You give the boundary. I give already example. You can cook, but only doing this and this. Yeah. Now the AWS again will combine that only the one that's fulfill the two of them. You can do the action. Yeah, you can meaning that you are allowed to do that based on the both of this identity-based policy or the resource-based policy, and also in the IAM policy. Yeah, here in this case, grant on based on the identity-based policy, and then here you have the permission. Yeah, so do not provide permission on their own. Okay, until now, is it okay? Is it clear? Give me thumb ups. Okay, clear. So let's move to the last subsection, submodule here. How we can have the manage if we have a multiple account. Yeah, I give you example already. I already have, for instance, in this example, I already have an admin. I can add a developers example. I can add other things. Yeah. So how can I manage this more than one account? Yeah. Now the account also don't be every account that I create, for instance, that using my name is Iwan, then I can create another 5,000 users. Yeah, but this is still my one account. Now, if I create another account, yeah, for another account with another email, with another credit card and other things, then I have two accounts. Now, sometimes I have to make. It is difficult to me to manage these two. Yeah. For instance, I have one account is for my company in Malaysia. One account is my company in Indonesia. both are under my company, or I just do the acquisition for the other company. So it's already have the AWS account. So how I manage this? Okay, now this why we have to have the multiple account, because we have many teams. Yeah, we can have developers in Indonesia. We have developers in India. Yeah, we have trainers in Jakarta. We have trainers in Palembang, example. So we have many teams, and then there are security compliance. Yeah, for instance, that's a bank cannot have more I mean one account to do everything. Yeah, so account for audit, account for infrastructure, account for developers. Yeah, account for the finance, example. Yeah, so you have to follow that. You have to separate the accounts. Yeah, and then billing. You want to know, for instance, that what is we if we put only, for instance, offer, we don't know actually who actually use the most the money. Yeah, whether it's marketing, whether it is trainers, or where we spend the money. Yeah, that use the AWS. So yeah, when we separate the account, we know that every department has their own bill. Yeah, so that's the reason why we separate the account. Yeah, so again, that's we want to isolation in many reason. One of them is because of security, and maybe the business process that need to be isolated. Yeah, so that is the reason why people can have multiple account. Yeah. Now, every account, again, I can create another 5,000 users. The same here. And then the user that I create here probably has the same policy. So in this case, if I if I work traditionally, meaning that I have to create policy 1, policy 2, but actually it's the similar policy, redundant. Yeah. So this is not the good way how to manage the account, to manage the policy. Yeah, it's take a lot of effort. Also have a risk of the flow of the policy. Yeah, you cannot manage like this. Now, AWS provide a service called AWS organization, where actually you can have the management account, and then under the management account, you can have called the organizational unit. Probably, for instance, that based on the region, Jakarta, Palembang, or department. For instance, developers, auditors, tester, yeah, operation, yeah. Now, under that, you can have the AWS account, yeah, and then it also have the multiple. For instance, that's under developers, it has the team 1, team 2 example. Now, using this AWS organization, you can apply this policy to the organization unit, and it will inherit to all under the AWS account, also the other account under the organization units. Yeah, this called the service control policy. Yeah, so it's create easy things, yeah, to manage many or multiple account under your management account. Yeah, then you can consolidate the billing, all of this billing, each of this department. You can have the one billing to you, but also you can know each billing for each department. Okay, this is the way how AWS want to make you easy to manage your account. And Service control policy allow only what is the intersection, yeah, intersection, meaning that you already apply the SCP, the policy on the OU, but when actually you in order to run the service or operate the service, you also have to have your identity-based permission. Yeah. So whatever you can get granted in your identity-based permission, and also from your SCP, then that's the only thing that you can operate. Yeah. So in this example, the SCP allow you to access EC2 and access S3, but you in your identity base, you only you allow to access EC2 and also IM. In this case, okay, since there's no IM here, you only allow to access or operate the EC2. Okay. So this is SCP and permission boundaries actually act as the filter. So the better filter, the pure that you can have. Yeah. So here, anything that you use, whether through the console, AWS console, CLI, or SDK, yeah, it will filter through the SCP, and then also will look to your permission boundary, yeah, and also your identity-based policy. So it will have 3 layers of this filter or defense. Yeah. So this is how actually AWS really consider or really concern on the security. Okay. So that's all in this module. So I think that we can answer the question here, how we can manage access. We go through the IAM services where we can create a users. We can create a principals here. Yeah. We can create a identity-based user. Yeah. And then how can you give the user access only to the resource they need? Yeah. So we have the policy. Yeah. Then remember that we have 2 type of policy. Yeah. Grant and maximum. Maximum access that we can have. Yeah. So remember that we do the combination of both two in order to allow principal to access the resource. And then we manage the multiple account using what we call as the AWS organization. Yeah. So in this module, we discuss about principles. Remember, principles is somebody of some things that can request access or operation on the services. Yeah, AWS services. It can be user, can be role, can be another AWS services, or can be a federated users, yeah, from outside AWS. Yeah. We talk about the security policies. We have the identity-based policy, resource-based policy, and then permission boundary, and also what we call is the service control policy in our AWS organization. And we use the AWS organization to manage multiple accounts, make us easy to manage multiple accounts, to consolidate the bill while you still can have the bill for each individuals, yeah, individual OU or individuals department under the OU. So this is what we learned from this module. So let's do the knowledge check. I know that I already passed the time. Sorry, Pak Reza. So which option can be attached to the user? which can attach to the user group and role. Resource can we put to the user? I don't think so. Yeah, resource in for the resource. Yeah, and then token is for the temporary one. It is also not correct. Yeah, it is not correct. The security group. No, this is we will learn later in the module 4. Yeah. Yes. Actually, identity-based policy we can put on the users, on the group, on the roles. Yeah. So the answer is D. All right. Good. Second questions. Which option set permission on specific resource and require a principal to be listed in the policy? So remember the door, you not only need to have the key, but you need also know the pin. Yeah. So what is that the policy? Yeah, identity-based. No, this is to the users, or to the role, to the group. Service control policy. No, this is for the organization, AWS organization, or organization unit. Yeah, yeah, it's resource-based. Yeah, so you define who can access the resource. Yeah, example, yeah, who can be denied from the resource. Yeah, so it's resource-based policy. You see from the perspective of the resource. And remember that both of when you want to access, you have to satisfy both the identity base, also the resource base, and also your boundary permission. Yeah. So this boundary permission is give the maximum what you can do based on the identity policy. Okay, it's D. So how we can use the IAM user programmatic access? What to think that we need to have? Pak Hafid, Abdul Hafiz, Ibu Gil?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, your answer? Pak Abdil, nak aci. Okay, username is now. Username is needed when you go for the console. Yeah. Yes, access key is needed. One of them. Password also need for the console, so it is not true. Secret key is yes. This is the combination we looking for. Yeah, the access key. MFA, multi-factor authentication, is another layer of your username and password. Yeah, you put another layer after username and password satisfied that you can add for more secure using the MFA. So the answer is B and D, not B and C. Yeah, Bugil, B and D. So is it true or false? The root user should be used for daily administration of an AWS account. No, it's false. Yeah, it is. You can do, but it's a lot of risk you can have. If I use, for instance, it's for simple things that, yeah, but it is not recommended. Yeah, then you can create a user, yeah, and then you give the administrator permission on that on for the administration for that account or for the users. Yeah, that is the best practice.
Okay, which option can be managed with AWS organization? Pak Hasri, okay, Pak Hasri, yeah, Pak Haidar A. Yeah, we use the service control policy on the organization. We put on the organization unit, and all under that organization unit will will heritage all the policy we put, yeah, on this. Yeah, not the resource policy, not the permission boundaries, not the identity based policy. Yeah. Okay, that's all. That's module 2. Yeah, it's not very good for the timing. Okay. Any questions before we stop for the lunch? Any questions?
Pak, I have some question, Pak.
Oh, boleh.
Pak, if we will make account like 2 or 3 account, so we must create a AWS organization or no, Pak?
No.
Example, we have company like this. We have some department like this, so we must make the AWS organization or no, Pak?
Okay. Here, let's go to our. Okay. Now let's back to services. We can search here organization. AWS organization. Now, until now, I don't have, because I only have one account. If I have more than one account, yeah, then I can create the organization. Yeah, only when you have more than one account that you want to manage, then you use this AWS organization account. Jelas, Pak?
So just only EIM, right, Pak?
Pardon?
This is enough for just only use EIM. That is
Yes.
enough, right?
If you only have one organization, I mean that you only have one account, then
Yeah.
you can create a user and then put in a group or a role.
Okay, I got it. Okay,
Yeah.
Pak. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I got it, the answer.
remember, that's one account. You can create up to 5,000 users.
Okay.
So this user
Okay.
you can group on the you can group on into, for instance, that's department, whatever. Yeah. So imagine that you have another account that you have another email address to access that. Yeah. Root. If you have more than one root user, account which you have to access with your root user, then this you can create the
Account.
yeah
Permission.
yes.
Okay, I got it, Pak. Thank you, Pak.
Yeah. But if you want to create also Pak Hasri, you still can do. You understand?
Yeah. Okay, Pak.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Oke, kalau nggak ada, kita break sampai sekarang jam 12 nih, jam